Thank you so much, Melissa, and thank you to everyone for staying around for this very last time of learning together for us. I'm very honored to be able to share our story in the School District of Altoona with all of you. Altoona, Wisconsin it's a smaller town. We're about 90 minutes east of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Our school district has 1,900 students, about 40% poverty, 16% of our students have an IEP, and 16% of our students are not white. We are a growing community. We are a exciting place to be, an exciting place to live. Altoona is actually one of the fastest growing communities in Wisconsin. It has about 10,000 people and growing. And so what Altoona has done very well is we've grown in the area of business, we've grown with hospitality, we've grown in the medical field, and we've built family engagement activities. There's always something happening on the weekend, be it a festival or music. Because our community is growing, our school district is also growing. Across the country, we are seeing the birth rate go down. But the Altoona School District is one of those few places that the growth is actually outpacing the birth rate decline. So as a result, we're a growing enrollment school district, and we have growing open enrollment. While our open enrollment out has stayed fairly flat over the last 5 and 6 years, our open enrollment in is moving very quickly at an alarming pace at times as we try to figure out where to put all these students, but it is exciting at the same time. All of that being said, there is an elephant in the room, so to say, in Altoona. With all the exciting, amazing things happening in the community, there's an elephant. And if I'm being honest, the elephant's actually the school district. When I became superintendent, the position had turned over for the 7th time in 4 years. So you can see between 2017, 2018, there were some mid-year transitions, mid-year transition of a superintendent, internal interim, external interim. At the same time, there were building level administrator turnovers. And finally in 2019, 2020, after going through a lot of turmoil, a lot of heartache, a lot of controversy, 2019, 2020, the Board of Education hired an internal person to be their next superintendent. A young, highly energetic, well-respected, well-loved administrator was going to be their superintendent, and the district and the community felt hope. This is it. We're on the road to recovery. Things are going to get better. The future is bright. Then February of 2020 came, and Altoona had to face that dreaded C word, which you might be thinking is COVID, or you might be thinking is coronavirus. But the dreaded C word of February 2020 in Altoona is controversy. And then a couple weeks later, there's like this little worldwide pandemic thing. So we just brought in the old interim and kept going. So that was the reality of Altoona at that point. After so much turnover, so much turmoil, the elephant was back in the room. So in the summer of 2020, just like you, we in Altoona, we were planning for, we were looking at how we had tape measures, how many feet apart do our kids need to be? We had put like tape on the floor and X's of where to put the desk. How do we get the most students back in the least amount of virtual possible? But we couldn't ignore that elephant that was in the room. We couldn't ignore the context of the work that we were doing, because yes, we needed to plan for COVID, for all the regulations, for masks, for no masks, for all the things, for attendance, for tracking, all those technical things, but we could not ignore what the community and the staff had just gone through. We know there was a lack of trust with the community. We knew there was scar tissue. They told us that quite a bit, actually. We knew there was hurt. We knew our staff had been injured, and we could see it. And we wondered, after 5 years of turmoil and turnover and all these distractions, we wondered how it was impacting our students. Now, Altoona had always been touted as a high-performing school district. And in fact, they were very proud that through all of these things that had happened, through all the frustration and the turnover, that they had kept students at the center of everything they had done. We're a high-performing district. So when we started looking at our metrics, this is what we expected to see. We expected to see overall growth with gaps being closed. We're a high-performing district and we are passionate about closing gaps. So we started pulling together the data and here's what we saw. The opposite was true. We were on a long-term downward trend in every single area. This is one. Here's another, mathematics, downward trend. ACT, you can see, except for English, 5-year downward trend in every area. We had subgroups where at certain grade levels, there was 0% proficiency. So here we were again, this high-performing school district who believed we were a high-performing school district, and we had a new reality to face that through all that turmoil, when we were very aware of and thinking about and trying to figure out how do we respond to community, how do we respond to rebuilding that trust, that along the way, our students were collateral damage. We had a new reality. We weren't the high-performing school district that believed we did. And good news, it's going to get worse, they told us. Our 5-year downward trend was going to be exacerbated because of the predicted COVID learning loss. And so as we dug in and looked at COVID and worked on our responses, we had to make sure that we didn't leave this weight. Our students needed us to respond to that in addition to COVID. We couldn't let this continue. It was nobody who was there, it was nobody's fault, but it couldn't continue as it was going. Now, I'm going to share the story of Altoona and what we did next, but the truth of the matter is, this is all of our story. Because for us, it was controversy and turnover and arrest and some icky stuff. But we know for some it's a fire or a pack of wolves. We know for some it's a failed referendum. We know for some it's a scandal of something that happened between a student and a teacher. This is all of our story. They just happen to give me the microphone this time. So this is about all of us. And I have no expertise more than anyone else in this room, I promise you that. But I also know that talking to colleagues and hearing each other's story causes us all to grow. So while this is Altoona's story, this is really all of our story. So coming back together as the school year started off, unique as we knew it would be, unique for all of us with a little extra twist in Altoona, Wisconsin, we had to face our reality. We had to, I'm gonna be honest, when we were taking a look at our data and figuring out what to do next, we paused for a minute, we faced our ugly reality. We may have said a few cuss words, and then we dug in because that's what our students needed us to do. In fact, we came to that somewhat intimidating reality that our students needed us more than ever. Because yes, our world had been tipped upside down. Their world really had been tipped upside down, and they needed us to step up and make them our priority. They needed us to respond, and our community needed us to respond. Because when the dust settled, we knew that those students in our school were going to be the future leaders of our community. So we didn't have the luxury of time on our side. We had to dig in, recommit to our students, which was also recommitting to our community. So the way we recommitted to our community is by bringing them in. We brought in 40 community members. We had a conversation with them. We did a facilitated conversation. We talked to them about what their vision was for the future of Altoona. We actually didn't ask them what they thought the school district would do. We didn't ask them for their opinions about what we should be doing. We didn't ask them about the future of the school district, because I can tell you they had lots of opinions and they were already sharing them. We asked them about the future of the community and what their vision was for the future of the community. We created a unique to us in Altoona protocol. We took a little bit of portrait of a graduate, we took a little bit of future search, we spent 4 hours together, and while this work is often led by an outside facilitator, in this particular case, actually I led it. Because for 5 years, they hadn't seen a system leader in education in their community that had been absent because it had turned over, somebody had come and then they were gone all of a sudden. So I actually led it directly, and we brought our community together and we gave them a chance to talk about the future of Altoona and what knowledge, skills, and experiences our students might need to thrive and lead the Altoona of tomorrow, because that's where they're going. Now again, this is how we did this in Altoona. But between today and yesterday, you've heard a lot of examples about how your colleagues in the room have engaged their community. We know that Menominee Falls, they increased the formative feedback they got of satisfaction for the service they're performing to the school. They increased that formative feedback from parents in the community. We know West Dallas, West Milwaukee, they too brought in their community in preparation of refreshing their strategic plan. This isn't the Altoona story, this is all of our story, because we know what to do when we're in these situations. So in Altoona, here's what our community told us. This is what they said they want for the future of the community of Altoona and the knowledge, skills, and experiences our students need. So we took this feedback from them, we gathered as a senior leadership team, and we talked about how their views, their beliefs, interacted with our pedagogical knowledge. Because the experts in education, they're in this room. The experts about our community are in the community. The experts about education are in this room. So as senior leaders, we said, okay, here's what the community wants. Here's what we know is the right work in education. How do we weave those things together? And the very first thing that we did is we completely changed our viewpoint of our role in the community. At one point, we saw high school graduation as the finish line. We spent our 13 years of kids helping them check off those boxes, those requirements for high school graduation. We stood on the stage, we called their name, we shook their hand, and we wished them well. The very first thing is we changed our mind, our overall viewpoint of our role in the system. High school graduation is now the starting line, not the finish line. And just like any athlete, just like the greatest Olympic athletes there are, we put our work into prepping for the starting line. And so we use this new vision, this new concept, as the cornerstone of our new strategic plan. So the work we did for our strategic plan was all leading up to creating tomorrow-ready citizens, not tomorrow-ready students. They're already students. Tomorrow-ready citizens. And our 4 strands, your pillars that you have, they all weave together to lead up to creating tomorrow-ready citizens. So our 4 strands are academic outcomes, future-ready outcomes, personal success outcomes, and operational outcomes. And probably a lot like your strategic plans, we have an aspiration that we're working towards in each of our strands. We also have a working definition. Because yes, we want to show the community what our promise is to them. At the same time, we have to make sure the people doing the work on the inside, they have a clear understanding of what we're doing as well. And then we have those key strategies, that big work we're going to do over the next 5 years to create our tomorrow-ready citizens. And again, you know this stuff. We know how to do this work. We know how to set our focus. This isn't Altoona. We didn't invent strategic planning. We all know this work. We've heard about the work that you're doing as well. We know about the strategic plans that are being created across the board in all of your districts, in all of your communities. Because that was how we got refocused on our most important work, just like you have done as well. And so a lot like you, we brought in people and we developed our district-wide scorecard for each of our 4 strands. And this wasn't the work of the senior leadership team. This wasn't the work of the administrative team. This was the work of 40 employees in our district, representing all of our employee groups. They're the true leaders of our system. Not necessarily the department heads or the most senior, the leaders by behavior. We brought in 40 of them. We started with leader development for the whole entire group. And then we worked through creating our district scorecard, our outcomes, our actions, our progress monitors that we're going to accomplish in just 1 year to make a big step towards our 5-year commitment we make in our strategic plan. Now I want to layer on what Gail talked to us earlier about reward and recognition, because that, while it was leader development, while it was gathering input, while it was shared ownership with our staff, it's also recognition. It's also gratitude, because we call out to the staff who are engaged, you are our leaders because of your behaviors. So we recognize them, we engage them, and it's very motivating. And it shows them exactly like Gail told us, it showed them that we see them and we recognize their work and their contributions. From there, we actually used the template from Marshfield, Wisconsin to create building and department scorecards. And by design, they look exactly alike. They look exactly like the district scorecard. That was a high school. Here's a department one. We use that model, and more importantly, we not just cascade goals, cascade the outcomes, cascade the strategic actions, we cascade the process. So the leaders of each building develop their building scorecard. The leaders of each department develop their department scorecard as well. You heard a lot about alignment, so we're aligning the work that we're doing from the community expectations down to our board policies, which also have a continuous improvement process behind it, into our strategic plan and our district scorecard, building and department scorecards, right down to employee goals. So all those pieces are aligned, but just as importantly, then the growth is aligned as well. So as employees are meeting their goals, that is causing building and departments to meet their goals, which is causing schools, which is causing the district, which is causing us to satisfy our board expectations, which is causing us to meet the expectations of our community. And this can't be undervalued. So having employees in every single employee group contributing to the gains of the system, that is only going to expand upon itself more, because let's be honest, it's fun to be on a winning team. And when your organization is doing well and you can see how my work is causing the organization to do well, who doesn't want to be a part of that? So again, this is not the work of Altoona. We heard about Jefferson County, Alabama as well, that also has alignment, of goals. You heard about it in the sessions that you were at. This isn't Altoona, this is all of us. This is the work that we do. And I am so proud to be able to put my hand on a Bible and swear that in our school district, genuinely and truly, is the feedback from our community, their wishes for the future of the community. It exists. It's alive in our classrooms every single day. Genuinely and truly, you can walk through the halls and take pictures of it. You can pull artifacts. It is real. We brought the community wishes to life. And remember, this is a community that doesn't believe in administration necessarily, has some trust issues with the school district, has been burned, and understandably so that they feel that way. So it's important that we show them, here's what you told us, here's what we promised you would do, and we are doing it. Every single year, we publish an annual report, and the first couple have had to be a little bit ugly because they're honest and they're transparent. We put our data in there, and we show the downward trends, and we say, we're not where we want to be, but we're gonna work hard, we're promised, we're committed to improving, and here's what we're doing. We also then, in our newsletters, when we send them out, we call out, we highlight the articles, we highlight the work that we're doing that is a direct connection to the community's vision of the future Altoona. And that's so important. And again, this isn't just us. You know, we just talked about communication. You know the value of communication. So show your community that you are keeping your promises to them. It's a little bit our instinct that when we run into those new challenges, when we have those stomachache moments of, oh my, now what do we do? We have that feeling that we have a new problem, we have a new challenge, therefore we have to come up with some sort of new solution. And I challenge you to pause first, say your cuss words, pause, pull your team together, and understand that the answer's in the room. You know what to do. Bring your people together. Don't come up with some new crazy, when you're in a crisis, that is not the time to experiment. When you're in a crisis, do what you know works. Go back to recommitting to your community, calibrating your focus on your priorities, setting your measurable outcomes, celebrating your success, telling a story. Double down on what you know works, double down on what's been successful for you, and be relentless in your pursuits. I know this is supposed to be the message of hope, but I'm going to be super honest with you and say, of the things we've experienced, whether it's your superintendent getting arrested or a pack of wolves or a fire or a worldwide pandemic, this is very likely not the last stomachache moment you're going to have. We are all going to have them. It's coming. Hopefully you get a little break between now and then, but it's coming. It's going to come. We're going to experience this again. Please, the first thing you do, please pause and have confidence. You know what to do. We know what to do. We might feel overwhelmed. We might feel inept in that moment, but we know what to do. We know how to handle these things. And with everything our kids have been through, the stakes are higher than ever for our students because their stomachache moments came a whole bunch of times too. It was scary as an adult to go into a grocery store and see empty shelves. I can't imagine what that would have felt like for an 8-year-old me. The stakes are high for them, and I don't mean these high stakes. I mean these high stakes. Every interaction we have with a child, every moment, every experience, it's a life-changing experience for our kids, every single one of them. The research out of Davies, California will tell you that the impact of education changes the quality of life, changes the likelihood of a child being able to earn a living wage, have access to health care, mental health care, whether or not they'll have children before they're in a place to be able to take care of them. Every single moment is a life-changing moment for our kids. It's also a life-changing moment for our community. Because the kids in Altoona Elementary School right now, they're the future healthcare providers, the future elected officials. And while we've talked a lot about our reality and the burnout rate in education and the challenges in education, we also are in the most powerful profession in the world right now. Because we decide what skills the future community members, what their attitudes are, what their soft skills are, what their business skills are, what their communication skills are, what their problem-solving skills are. We're in control of that. That is a very powerful place to be. And if people understood, our profession would be overflowing because we're building our communities. And thank goodness for that because of the skills in this room. The challenges are going to come, but we know what to do. We know how to ensure not just our districts, but our communities thrive. And I hope every single community that has educators in this room right now, I hope they understand how fortunate they are to be led by people with this skill set, this background, because our communities, we're not just going to be okay, we're going to thrive because of the work we're doing every single day. And thank you for that.